Hey Dave, when you have this long before an NLDS start, how do you kind of handle giving data to your guys and not wanting to overload them, but also being as prepared as possible?
I think the main thing, Rowan, is communication. You can look at 4 days and one of the days being a travel day, and then you look at 3 days and as far as how do you go about managing, preparing these guys. And I think that guys wanted to work out each day, and they wanted to face pitchers wanted to face hitters, so to keep them sharp. So that's how we went about it. But I think the main thing is that the players were involved and feel good and prepared going into game one.
I know you're much more focused on winning a series than worrying about a rivalry or anything like that, but obviously the rivalry was brought up a lot during the regular season. But do you think it takes a playoff series or a series like this for something like that to really take off?
I think a rivalry comes about with history. So people are trying to make it as such, which is fine. But yeah, like you initially said, our goal is to win a series.
Thanks, Dave.
Next question is from Jorge Castillo. Go
ahead. Dave, I think there were maybe 2 wins against the Padres you guys had this year that could be, I guess, interpreted as sort of turning points or put you guys back on track, but you guys then went on long winning streaks. I'm just wondering, how important was it to have a team that you played as talented as them, and the games being that intense and sort of keeping you guys in line and keeping the foot on the gas during the regular season?
It's always good to play talented teams, but I think that we played other teams outside of the Padres the last few weeks and played good baseball. But yeah, I understand that the game at home was a big game that we won, and then also the game at their place after the first game of the series loss. But I'm just more focused on just continue to play good baseball and focus baseball, which is what we have been doing.
And obviously, a lot's been made of the dimensions here at this ballpark, how big it is. How should a player's or a hitter's approach change, if at all, just given the dimensions of this place?
I think understanding what the baseball does or doesn't do is one thing, but I don't think the approach should change. I don't see that. You understand guys nowadays are trying to get the ball in the air, and I still think that that's what they're going to try to do. The infield doesn't, which is turf, doesn't play very fast, so there's really no benefit, with positioning and the infield surface itself to just hitting the ball on the ground. So line drives always play, but I don't think it's going to change anyone's approach.
Have you made a decision on whether you'll carry a third catcher or Terrence Gore on the roster?
We have not.
And is it weird you guys are here preparing for a game in Texas while there's a game going on at Dodger Stadium?
It is. And I think more the latter, where just kind of watching the A's Astros game and just seeing those two clubs at our ballpark is sort of weird in a postseason setting. But yeah, I mean, being here at Globe Life, getting ready for a postseason baseball game is really interesting.
Thank you.
Next question is from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead.
When we talked to Mookie a little while ago about the big ballpark, he said it just means there's a lot of hits out there. You have to build innings with hits and not home runs. Can your team do that very well?
I think we've done it at times. I think that if you look at a lot of the guys, whether it's JT, whether it's Mookie, whether it's Corey, Chris Taylor, we've built some innings and guys that can find some outfield grass and not just going for, the homer. And I think Cody did it really well. The last game is against the Brewers. So yeah, you can still get it out of the ballpark if you really square it up, but certainly getting the ball moving forward and getting base runners, however you do it, is most important.
How have your 200-member analytics department, what have they told you about the roof being open and how that affects play here?
So what I hear, word on the street, is that the ball carries about 10 extra feet, but that's also not taking into consideration how hard the ball's hit, the angle of the ball. So I'm just saying that the roof is open, so there should be a little bit more play as far as how far it goes.
The one similarity between your team and the Padres that jumps out is the ability to score late in the game and score against other teams' bullpens. You see that as maybe where this series could turn?
I could see that. And also part of it is when you have two teams that have done it consistently, scoring late, that just builds that confidence. And it just speaks to being able to control the strike zone, because especially late with back end guys with really good stuff, you still got to control that strike zone and take your walks and hit a homer or whatever extra base hit when you get that mistake. But I think that's going to be a big part of this series. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
You got it, Bill.
Next question is from Ken Gurnick. Go ahead.
Dave, can you share with us who you plan to hold back to piggyback with Walker if he can't go deep?
I don't know. I think everyone, Kenny. I mean, I think that outside of Clayton, we've got everyone essentially available. And I touched on it a little bit yesterday, whether it's Dustin, Julio, Tony, guys that can potentially start games, use them as a bullpen day. So we've got kind of everyone, all hands on deck, I think.
Thanks.
Got a question from Ron Cervenka. Go ahead.
Yeah, Doc, just to piggyback on what Ken asked, in the event that, first of all, Walker said that his blister situation is still the same as it has been. Is he going to be on any kind of a leash, innings limit, pitch count wise?
It's just really hard to say, Ron, because I can't really speak to yet as far as how many pitches he throws in an inning, when it gets north of 20. The stress of a particular inning, and just really how it reacts to the elements here in Texas. So there's really no hard number. I think just for us, just continue to watch it each inning and make a decision.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doc. Thanks, everybody.